All right, hello everybody, and welcome to the third installment of the Rainier Strength Pod. I am here with my guest, Tony Carlino, who has a unlimited bench press of 1,207 pounds. That is the PR. He is the third in the world for the unlimited bench press category. Not to be outdone also by his squat of 955 pounds and a multiply squat of 950 pounds with a multiply 1036 bench press. An overall great lifter here. We have 2405 total multiply, 2500 unlimited, and 1929 raw with an 804-pound raw squat in wraps. Tony, my man, fresh off of a meet, how are you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you? And thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, bro. I'm doing great. Thank you. So yesterday, June 21st, we're recording on the 22nd, but June 21st, Tony hit a 11-13 unlimited bench. He went for 1,300, barely missed, looked like he had it. Honestly, for me, it looked like butter. So talk to us about that meet yesterday. How did it go? How did that 1,300 feel?
Yeah, the meet yesterday went really well. I kind of jumped in it last second, and I first wanted to do single ply, then I switched it to multiply. One day out, like Friday, I decided to go unlimited, but I didn't have my gear. I was letting a buddy use my gear. He was having a little trouble with his unlimited shirt, so I was like, "Well, use my shirt. It's going to be easier to touch, and we'll, you know, figure out whatever from there." My other buddy who was doing the meet also has an Everstrong unlimited shirt. So I was like, hey, can we just like trade like in between attempts? Because there's enough time in between our attempts to kind of swap. Um, so I was like, I'll just go unlimited. I've never used the setup I was going to use before, and it was kind of a lot. So I was like, yeah, I'll just open up 13 and see what happens. Kind of adjust from there. I
Yeah.
didn't want to figure out what would work for an opener, what would work for 13, like in the warm up room. So I figured I would just kind of go from there. But unfortunately, the guy I lent my stuff to had an injury on his opening squat. So he kind of dropped out of the meet. And so I got to use my gear. I was thankful to use my gear, but I was not happy he got hurt,
Yeah. Yeah. The
obviously.
circumstances. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I got my gear back and I knew exactly what I could wear with my own gear to touch what. So I dropped my opener from 13 to something easy for me, relatively easy. So I dropped it to 11-13. Calmed the nerves like crazy because as the bench was coming up, I was getting more and more nervous. I was feeling anxious, that tight feeling. I was like, oh man, I don't. It's a lot of weight. I've done it in the gym, but yeah, everyone
It's
knows
it's
me.
only 1,300 pounds.
Yeah. So I was like, all right. And so once I dropped the opener, I was calm. The nerves went away, everything. So I opened up that 11-13, got it, thankfully. Jumped to 13 right after that. And then I took two cracks at it. The first one, I locked out both of them. I touched, locked out both. The first one came up and it had like an up and down motion. I saw that in the video the second. I was like, all right. Even though I locked it out, it wasn't a good lift. And they said my butt kind of popped up too. So I was like, all right, we'll just retake it on the third. And took it on the third. As a lifter, I felt like I got it. I came up, locked out, no bobble, no up and down. I locked it for like a solid second, maybe second and a half, and then it went into the rack. But he didn't call rack. I guess he was waiting for like another, so maybe he saw I wasn't, completely steady or whatever. Head judges discretion there. So went into the rack, ended up missing that. And so in the IPA, if you're going for a record, regardless of if you hit your third or not, you can go for a fourth. I took it for a fourth, but I was pretty gassed on that one. Touched, popped up. It had the best pop out of the hole on that one, or off my chest on that one. But I felt a little up and down motion on that too, and my butt. It was way high. So I was halfway up, and I was like, just take it. I felt everything was just off. I was just
Yeah.
exhausted at that point, but very happy. I mean, it's not a PR, it's not a record or anything, but at 11-13, I'm happy anytime I can bench 1,000+ pounds in the meet, regardless. I'm really happy about it. I'm really happy how that lift looked and how it went, so I can't complain about anything.
Yeah, I mean, that's insane. It's really hard to even fathom, that type of weight, especially it being literally over your face. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
when we're talking about a squat or a deadlift, I've had to dump squats before. Deadlift, you can kind of just put it down, as remedial as that sounds. But like
Right.
the bench, it's just, there is no other option, right? So you really
Yeah.
have to put a lot of trust in the spotters and the equipment itself. Talking about the equipment, the Everstrong shirt is a pretty new piece of material. I talked to Rodney Woodward Jr. on the second episode about it. He's a fan. He likes it. What sets the Everstrong shirt apart from the first edition of the band shirt and the 2.0 that F8 has?
The Everstrong shirt is like my creation. Rob came to me after I hit that 1207 last year and was kind of hinting around at I can make my own shirt, like a Carlino shirt or something. But we had our Everstrong brand. Me and my wife has our, and I'm like, well, I don't need my name on it, So I was like, let's make the Everstrong shirt. It'll just hopefully kind of lift our company up. It's brand new. We're brand new with it and everything. So like, put some recognition, put it out there, put the name out there a little bit. So I've used 3 or 4 different brands of bench shirts out there, and I like different things from different ones. So I kind of took like 3 shirts and put them together. So I took the little figure 8 that the Mendy shirt has around his, and put it on this one. We couldn't make it like an X because he has that patented. So we just made it overlap a little bit, but we didn't crisscross it. And then I like the short sleeve version of his 2.0. It's just easier to use for most people unless you have really long arms. So I really like that aspect, and I hate wearing a 4-ply. I hate wearing a 4-ply band shirt. It's too much material. I can use it, I just don't like it. So the goal and the idea was to make a shirt that you could bench the same weight using less layers. And I thought, with that figure 8 around it, we'd probably be able to do that. Now the Mendy has like figure 8s between every layer. This one is just one on the outside. And so I went to Rob and he put it together. And he came up with the collar it has, the low scoop collar with it kind of goes back on your shoulder a little bit more. The look of it when it's on is kind of like a poly shirt. How low it scoops, kind of like a SDP a little bit.
Yep.
There's no thick collar. You can't add a thick collar. It's a thin layer of poly. You can't really tell it's poly on there. It stretches just to kind of hold those layers together on the neck. Yeah, he sent it to me, and I used it. He sent me a 1-ply, and I was like, "Oh, I love it. It's great." And then he sent me the final version. I didn't want to have everything custom because he's doing me a huge favor. He's being generous with his time and everything. So I'm like, I don't want you to have to like make on the spot when people order them. Let's just make kind of just generic sizes, small, large, extra large, and layers. So if somebody wants a 5-ply, you can get it, but it comes stock in a 2-ply, and then you can just add the inserts to it. So you can essentially get as many layers as you want, but it comes stock just 2-ply. We call it a 2.5-ply with a figure 8 around it, but I just call it a 2-ply just to be easier. But I love it. I don't like to use any other shirt.
Yeah,
I'm a little biased to it, obviously.
Yeah.
I love using it. It's so easy to use. Everybody I've talked to, the majority of everybody loves it. I've had nothing but positive feedback, and so I'm really excited about it. And it's taken off a little bit more than I thought. We keep getting orders. I'm like, this is amazing. I love this. So it's really cool to see it kind of happening like this.
Yeah. Well, you have the third highest bencher in the world making a product. Obviously, the technical aspect has been mastered from your level. So a lot of people, I think, are going to gravitate toward that. Like, oh, Carlino put his name behind this. Okay, I'm going to check this out. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because your numbers back it up, and I think that has a lot to do with it. Let's talk about going into your training. There's a demand on everything, the tendons, the muscles, the bones, ligaments, joints, central nervous system. All this demand is just so much higher than anything when it comes to raw powerlifting or anything else in the strength world, to be completely honest. So how do you structure your training? How many times a week are you benching? How many times a week are you in the equipment? Are you doing other accessory like back, kind of like bodybuilding stuff, any squats, anything like that? What's your training look like?
So I break it down. I do 2 bench workouts and 2 back workouts, but I don't bench twice a week. It's just kind of an accessory for the bench. So Monday's off. Tuesday is heavy shirted day. And when I do shirt, especially in the band shirts, I only do shirt work. I don't do accessories. I don't do anything. I might do some back down sets, but usually for the weights that I'm using, I don't feel like I can get enough out of the accessories afterwards to make it worthwhile to do them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If anything, it'd be a light pump, maybe on the cable pushdowns or something. But honestly, I don't ever do that. But if I were to do something, that would be it. So it's just shirt bench, maybe some drop downs after my top heavy set, and that's on Tuesday. Wednesday's off. Thursday is a back day, and everything is structured around bench. So everything I do is mimicking a bench, basically. So if I'm doing like a seated cable row, I'm bringing it in where I bring the bench, no matter the hand positioning.
Okay.
Lat pull downs, I kind of mimic where I would bring down, like pull out the bar, if that makes sense. But it's just the pull down part. I'll do a lot of straight arm pull downs with the cables to mimic bringing the bar out and holding it. So I do about 5 exercises for back on Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, depending just what life is, what's going on in life. Usually Friday will be my second bench day. And if I do bench, it's bamboo bar. I just do bamboo bar stuff. If I don't do that, I don't bench. I'll just do a ton of tricep accessories. And what I found for me is I stopped doing a lot of free weight stuff. Not altogether, but the majority of free weight stuff, because it was just beating up my elbows and my shoulder. I was feeling it too much in those areas.
Yeah.
To get anything out of the exercise. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could go lighter, but also I could figure out an accessory on a cable or a machine that could hit it just as good, and I could feel every rep, and I could get more out of it. So everything is mimicking, again, the bench press on the accessory. So if I'm doing rope pushdowns, I'm kind of extending at the end to mimic a lockout. Or, I'm trying to hit all 3 heads as well of the tricep. So I'll do 3 to 4 tricep exercises on Friday. I'm throwing a little bit of shoulders in there too to keep them healthy. Nothing too heavy, not a lot of overhead, but every now and again, just to mix things up.
Yeah.
Saturday off, Sunday, or the other bench day, and then Sunday is another back day, but I'll throw in a leg movement too. Usually a leg press, maybe a squat, just one thing to overall just get the legs in there. Being a bench only guy, I don't really need to train my squat too much. I will if I don't have a meet coming up, let's throw on some gear and see what I can squat. Every now and again. I'll do that.
There's a famous wrestler from the 80s, Rick Rude. He used to have really skinny legs, big upper body, and people be like, "Why don't you train your legs?" He'd be like, "It's an upper body business, kid." You know what I mean? But I've seen on your Instagram, you've done multiple polls, kind of putting feelers out there of kind of your next big endeavor. I saw one poll that you had. It said, "What should I go for next?" Like raw bench, push, pull. Do you have any aspirations on maybe doing any raw benching or going back down to single ply? Because you have a 900 single ply. You're literally like pretty freaking close right there. And I see you've also dabbled in the deadlift a little bit too. So is there any goals outside of that?
Single ply, yes. Single ply. So I did Rob's meet last year, where it was the single ply 2 attempts, multiply 2 attempts, unlimited 2 attempts, all in the same meet. And so I went 850 and I went 900 single ply after training for like twice for it in the single ply shirt. On open powerlifting at the time, it was like 893 or something like that was the world record. And so I went 900 to get that. Like the next day after it got posted, somebody's like, "Oh, somebody hit a 903 like back in 2018 and just didn't get it posted." I'm like, all right. I mean, it's fine. It's just annoying, Like, now dude. It's the time you decide to but we didn't want to update it before. I would have went 905. It's 5 pounds.
Yeah.
But I do have aspirations to get back in single ply. To answer your question, I would love to go 1,000. I would try and get the record first. Go down to 275, drop a couple pounds, cut a few pounds, and go down 905 or 915, whatever I can touch, the lightest I can touch in a single ply, and just get that record. And then maybe shoot for 1,000. I would love to do it. 1,000. I don't have to do 1,000 in a single ply. Like, I don't love getting in a tight single ply shirt, but I might I would definitely will get back in it one day.
Yep.
But we'll see. Like, if 1,000 doesn't happen, I'm not going to like chase it.
Yeah.
If it doesn't happen, if I'm not feeling it.
Yeah.
So yeah, single ply for sure. Full power, I'll do one more just because I want to squat 1,000. I've done it in the gym. I've squatted a 1055 last year, like a week after the Arnold. I competed at the Arnold. It was about an inch or two high. I'm not going to say it was like meat depth, but an inch or two high is kind of meat depth anyways these days. But I did it and it was easy enough, and I was like, I could, train for a 6-week wave and probably go in and squat a minimum 1,000 just to get that under my belt, so I can squat 1,000 and have a 1,000-pound bench too. That would just be pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. Some of these bench only guys really are completely bench only, but then like with someone like you look at open powerlifting, you're like, this guy has a 950-pound fucking multiply squat, so he might be bench only, but he's not a one-trick pony. You know what I mean? So that adds another dimension to it, and then with the 1,300-pound unlimited that you missed, I mean, that was so damn close. Are you thinking in your head, okay, you know what? That was so close. I'm running this back in 12 weeks. Or are you thinking about that at all? Trying to just go ahead and get that before the end of this year?
Maybe before the end of the year. So I told my wife, my fiance, but we're basically married, so I call her my wife, that I wouldn't do as many meets this year as I did last year. I did 5. 2 were in the same weekend, was the Arnold. So it was back-to-back days, but I still did 5 meets last year, and I was just kind of on a roll. So I was like, let me do this one. I was hitting numbers, and I had goals, and I was close. So, and she was super supportive, still is, about it. But I was like, but it's not really fun to just go to meets every couple months. You know what I mean? Like, if you're not eating stuff, she loves supporting me, but meets aren't the most fun thing for some people. So. And I've already done 3 this year. So I'm like, all right, after this one, and I just jumped into this one I really wanted that 13. So I'm like, anyways, if I do another meet this year, maybe WPO Bench Wars, a lot of things kind of have to fall in place for that. But if not, maybe in December, I might go for it. And if I do it in December, I will definitely do unlimited. I don't really want to do poly. I got in it. It's just not. It's fun, but at the same time, the shirt's not fun. They just hurt. I'm kind of over it. But I still have some goals in multiply that I want to do. But the 1,300 is a bigger goal for me. Is something else I want. Kind of speaking on that a little bit, I kind of had we talked about it last night. She asked me what did I get out of this meet, and that's not how she asked it. I can't remember how she asked it, but I was like, I don't know, I came out healthy and I hit that 1,100, which is super cool. I'm like very happy about it, regardless of record. It's not a PR or anything, but it's still, to me, like I said before, I'm happy anytime I can bench 1,000. Like I love benching 1,000 pounds, regardless of the gear. I don't know what it is. Not many people can do it, and I'm able to do it. I was told I would never be able to powerlift again, so to be able to continue to do this is awesome. So saying that, like 1,300 would be the goal, but I would take a whole different approach from it, because I did 11, 13 this meet, and then jumped straight to 13. And people are like, "It's so cool, like seeing you hold that much weight. I don't care if you got it or not." I'm like, "Yeah, thanks," and I appreciate everybody saying that, but in my head, I'm like, I would like it a lot better if I went like 11, 13, 11, 80. Maybe like 12, 12, 12, 20 to hit a little PR. And that's still a record. And then shot for 13. Get a couple more lifts in. Those aren't like shoe-ins, but I'd have a lot better chance of getting those and kind of building momentum and having fun. Benching that 11 was fun. Missing the 13 wasn't very fun. So I don't want to do a ton of, and I'm guilty of doing it lately, is just number chasing. And it's awesome, but it also kind of is taking a lot of the fun out of it for me. So I'm like, I didn't think I would enjoy benching that 11 as much as I did. Like, she asked me how I felt after me. I was like, I feel great. I'm so happy I did that. And I'm like, well, I would have been happy if I hit a high 11s or mid 12, whatever. And those are
Yeah.
still crazy numbers, all things considered. It's still cool to say that. So I'm like, I'm kind of rethinking kind of how I approach a meet numbers wise. And I got really excited about training for it again. Like, it's not just I'm not just shooting 413. I'm not just going in like I have to hit this number. I have to be the next guy to hit 13. I really want to enjoy the process of getting there again.
Yeah.
Taking smaller jumps, smarter jumps, and just having overall more fun doing it.
Yeah.
So really long-winded answer to your question, but I would want to go for 13 later this year if all things go well, and I decided to do one later this year.
Yeah. No, dude, I love long-winded answers, elaborating on questions. I love it. So definitely feel free express yourself any type of way you want to. Now, you usually stay around, I would say, like the 275 area for body weight, around there somewhat. What does your nutrition look like for this? What are you eating on a daily? Are you cognizant of a certain macro, get enough protein, get enough calories? How does that look for you on the day-to-day?
I don't count calories or macros, but I eat the same thing during the week, Monday through Friday, every day. I eat 5 meals a day. And the first meal, I can't do carbs in the morning for some reason. They just make me really, really tired. So I just do a protein shake and I throw some blueberries in it. I know technically they're carbs, but I don't. I'll do that. My next meal, I'll do a half pound of either ground beef or ground turkey, and a cup of rice with vegetables. And then the next meal is the same thing. And then meal number 4 is usually a protein shake and like a granola bar or something, banana, something like that. And then fifth meal is whatever we have for dinner, but it's a protein with a carb and some sort of vegetable. She's into fitness and training and stuff, so it's not just like spaghetti. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like chicken with some potatoes and something
Quality.
like that. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's quality. Yeah, it's not always the cleanest food all the time, but we're not bodybuilding. But yeah, and then I'll have snacks in between. I'm eating or munching on something like all day. So, but it's relatively all the same during the week. And during the weekends, I try to keep it close to that. If I miss a meal or if I add a meal, it is what it is. But I stay consistent with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And what, for your single ply and your multiply stuff, what shirts are you using for that, and why are you using those specific shirts?
Multiply, I've been sticking with the Super Duper Phenom. It's just worked for me. This shirt I've actually I hit 905 in it when I weighed 257 back in 2018. And it's the same shirt I use now when I weighed 275 and I hit the 1036. Nothing's changed. Well, now it has, but when I hit that 1036, I had nothing changed. I just grew into it, and got stronger with it. So now after that 1036, I kind of put a little hole in the collar. So I sent it to Rob and he reinforced the collar. But I love that shirt. That shirt is number 1 going into if I do a poly meet. I do also have and love the gray line Overkill. I just missed 1,000 in that last year at Rob's meet. And that's a great shirt. So that would be like option B, multiply wise. And single ply is at Rob's. When I hit that 900, it was the F8 single ply shirt that I used. I got it. I think I used it one time, hit an opener, and I was like, all right, this is good. But I also have a super katana that I've had I've had that for years. I actually been 606 in that when I was 220? I was 220 wearing that same shirt that I wear now in that single. I can still squeeze into it.
Yep.
Yeah, so it still works. So it's super katana or the F8 is what I use single ply wise. Seem to both work relatively similar to each other.
Yeah. When you were coming up in the sport, just getting into it and whatnot, who kind of inspired you to get into the sport, get in to do better? Because for me, I came up around the era of like when Dan Green was really big. So you had like Dan Green, Stan Efferding, Pete Rubish, Yuri Belkin, a lot of these guys. So for me, that's kind of how I got into the sport. That was my introduction. Who is your introduction into the sport? And more so, who inspired you to be like, yeah, you know what, I can do this. This dude's fucking sick.
Yeah. First introduction to powerlifting. I didn't even know it was a powerlifting DVD that I had bought. I just wanted a big bench press, and I saw this on. I think I got it on Amazon. I think, anyways, Road to the Arnold DVD. Ryan Kennelly.
Yeah.
It's my number one. I thought, but a picture I saw was like a big old Samoan guy on the cover. But then I thought, he's not Samoan. He's just a big jack dude.
Yep.
And then the first scene in the movie is just like panning over, and it's him, and his arms were like this big, and I was like, good Lord! I was like, how do I look like that and bench like that? So he's my number one favorite of all time, and that's what got me wanting to do the sport. I didn't get a bench shirt till years later. I didn't really know what they were, but that was my first introduction to really wanting to get whatever that was. So
Yeah.
And then a couple years later, I would see like the super training videos on YouTube and stuff, and that kind of got me and my buddy were lifting in like a fitness gym and doing the squat and the bench. We didn't deadlift too much, but we'd watch those videos and kind of get excited and get hyped off those. But yeah, I came up my raw when I was doing raw. It was the same thing. Dan Green and all those guys. I watched those. Those were top level guys when I was just kind of mid raw.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are the crazy guys. I looked up to all those raw guys too when I was raw.
Yeah, Kennelly is an alien. He's up here in Washington. He's probably about 4 hours from where I'm at. But I mean, even, I watch his Bench Monster TV Thursdays every week, 7 o'clock PST for anyone listening out there. But when you watch him work out even to this day, he's a freak. I mean, he looks like a bodybuilder. You would think this dude is like a couple weeks out from stepping on stage.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
I finally got to meet him 2024 Arnold. I met everyone else I looked up to, Tiny Maker, Scott Mendelson, all those guys. I got to meet Rizalak before he unfortunately passed away in 2017. He actually head judged my first Arnold meet. So that was pretty cool. And I hit 848 that meet at the Arnold, the same number Kennelly hit on his Road to Arnold DVD. He had an 848 to win the Road to Arnold, which I had no idea, but it's kind of funny, like a full circle thing. But anyways, I got to meet Kennelly finally in 2024, and he came up and he's like 17 feet tall. Not really, but to me, I'm 5'7". He's like 6'3". I'm like, he's a giant. His arms are still huge. I'm like, good Lord, you think you're a decent size, then you run to somebody like him. I'm like, well, I don't feel small too often, but I do now.
I feel it, dude. I'm 5'6", so I definitely feel it.
Exactly. Yeah, my pain.
Oh yeah, for sure, dude. Fuck it, man. Let's unite, man. Fuck it. So for you so far, some people, their favorite lift is out of competition. It's in competition. It's something that might be even lower than their PR. Just the sentimental aspect of what that lift actually meant to them, or the adversity they had to go through to get there. For you, if you had to pick a favorite lift of yours, any of the three, anytime, what is it and why?
Number one, I'll have to go with the 1036 multiplier, because from day one, I started in a shirt and won a 1,000-pound bench. I shot for it forever. Not when I started, I was nowhere near it. But, that's the lift I wanted so bad. I wanted 1,000. 1,000. When I hit 1,036 before that second attempt, I did 1,003, but it wasn't the prettiest lift. It was clean, but it wasn't like the prettiest looking lift. I still got it, locked it. And so we shot for it. And then 1036 ended up being a record, and it was a prettier lift. And anyways, that one's got to be number one as my most favorite lift I've ever done. Number two is a 727 I did back in 2019. It was after I got out of the hospital, after being told I wouldn't be able to powerlift again. I got real sick, and then I got out, and then I think it was 5 or 6 months later, I competed, and I hit that 727. I just wanted to get back on the platform. I wanted to do it again, prove to myself that I could do it again. And so even though it wouldn't be anything near what I had done before, I didn't care. I was like, I want to hit this. I want to get my feet wet again. I wanted to prove to everybody that said I wouldn't be able to do it that I can still do it. You know what I mean? So
absolutely,
that one, those two. And the first Arnold lift is really cool too. That was my first big meet. I've done the Olympia too before that, but that doesn't seem like it kind of compares as far as the bench world, as far as big meets go, as big as the Arnold is.
Yeah.
Anyways, Those two, that 1036 and the 727, are probably the most memorable, meaningful lifts I've done.
And when you were sick in the hospital, did you know in the hospital that you were definitely going to touch 1,000? You were definitely going to powerlift again, no matter what they told you? Or was it after you got out of the hospital, then you got back into the gym and you're like, I think I can do this again? Did you know from day one, or was it kind of you had to feel it out first?
No, so when I was in the hospital and they told me, I was pretty fine with not. I was just happy to be alive because I had like a 30% chance to live. And so once I got out, I was like, I don't care. Like, I just want to live, you know? So
Yeah.
I was pretty happy with whatever. I didn't care. I was like, that's fine. I'll just do fitness stuff. I'll just work out, like, whatever. So still support me around, but I didn't, whatever. Powerlifting's fine if I don't do it anymore. When I got out of the hospital, like a week later, I went back to my gym just to see everybody. And, you know, they all came to see me when I was in the hospital. So I went to go see them and thank them and all that. But once I stepped back in that gym, I was like, well, I'm coming back. Like you know, you get hooked, you get bit by
It's
that iron bug.
time.
I was like, well, I got to try it. I got to at least make an attempt. You
Yep.
know, if it doesn't work, if something happens, then I'll shut it down. But yeah, I'm still here now. So I was like, yeah, it was right when, like a week after the hospital, I walked back in and I was like, well, I'm going to go for it. I don't know where it's going to lead me, but or how far I can take it, but I'm definitely going to have to give it a try.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I mean that's an insane story. Um what what was the support like around you during that time? Did you have a lot of people that were, messaging you, whatnot, giving a lot of that? Because I know recently, I think it was last year, the year before, Kennelly was pretty sick. He had
Mm-hmm.
a lot of support. A lot of us up here donated to him and whatnot. Did you have a lot of support at that time you were sick, or was it kind of just you and your fiance kind of against the world type of thing?
Yeah, no, I had a ton of support. I actually, when I went in the hospital, they had to put me under to fix whatever they thought was wrong. It ended up being a little bit more serious than that. So I was in a coma for 16 days. And in that time, like my boss at the time set up a GoFundMe account to help pay for the medical bills and stuff. And dude, I had so much support, so much friends, family. I actually didn't know my fiance at the time then, um, but everybody around me supported me. My parents were there every single day. Yeah, no, nothing but support from everyone, literally everyone. I didn't I didn't get a lot of messages at the time because when I woke up, I was still a little loopy and trying to put the password in my phone. I ended up locking myself out of my phone and I couldn't get it back on. So I didn't know how much support I actually had until I got out of the hospital and went to Apple and got it reset because I actually had to physically be there. My parents took it and they said they couldn't do anything. Anyways, yeah,
Yeah.
that was fun. I was like, no, I can put it and then it locked me out. So I didn't have a phone the whole time I was in there too.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Damn. So
Yeah.
with your progress on the bench here, nothing is completely linear. The map is always, it's like the stock market. It's up and down. But for
Mhm.
you, your greatest jump in progress, what would you say contributed to that? Was it something you changed in your nutrition, something with the training? What was it that had that biggest gap of improvement?
I honestly think it was the not doing accessories after bed. That's when some, like last year, I just stopped doing it. Like after a heavy bench day, I stopped doing accessories. Um, and then focused on a lot of that on a different day, and it just seemed to work for me. Ever since then, everything really worked. And one little thing, I stopped training biceps. I was having a little lockout problem on my left arm, and I think it was partly due to like something in maybe my bicep. When I would train it, it would get tight.
Yep.
I don't have a clue what it was, but it would get tight and it would hurt to lock out. So when I was under max weights, sometimes I couldn't get the full lockout. Yeah, I bombed a couple times because of it because I couldn't fully get that left arm going.
Yeah.
So I stopped training biceps. I haven't trained biceps in like a year and a half. Besides just the stuff you get from back, but I haven't trained them directly. So that little bit and just the accessories, just not doing them after bench, letting myself recover that much more. That's the whole purpose for it. Just letting my body recover from those huge weights, all that poundage. Just not also beating up more muscles to having to recover from. Just
Yeah.
let myself recover. And I think that extra recovery helped me a lot too.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. Yeah, I think I noticed a lot of that too in the past with like a lot of overworking leading to like tendonitis and, inflammation of the tendons,
Yep.
ligaments, all that kind of stuff. And it freaking
Yeah.
sucks. You got to down regulate you. But everyone wants to look like Ryan Canelli. So it's like, well, how am I going to do that if I'm not fucking, over here
Yeah.
smashing bicep curls like a fucking maniac? For your, for going up in the bench press, do you notice a correlation between your body weight and an increase or decrease in the bench? Because for me personally, I notice that when I'm bigger, my bench goes up. The other two lifts they go up a little bit, but the most noticeable increase for me has been with body weight increase or decreases.
Oh yeah, for sure, 100%. Yeah, the more weight I've gained over the years, the bench just keeps going up. There hasn't been a time where I've gained weight and it's gone down or stayed the same. It's always, if my body weight's gone up, it's gone up. So it definitely helps. I fortunately slash unfortunately have a nice bench belly I can get up there. So the more weight I gain, the less range of motion I have to go as well. And I have an okay arch. It's nothing crazy, but that combined with I can really push my stomach up. So with that gaining extra weight, getting stronger plus less range of motion is only going to help your bench. So definitely, it's done nothing but helped.
Absolutely. Yeah, I definitely
Yeah.
feel the same way. You have a lot on social media. There's a lot of, disagreement. There's a lot of misunderstandings. Social media is a jungle for this. With the raw crowd, there are some people out there that like to trash the equipped lifters. They don't really know much about it. I think that's a general misunderstanding. What do you think that some of these raw guys, if they open their mind a little bit, could actually take or learn from the equipped lifters?
Yeah, I just don't think they get it, or they don't understand the gear. You know how gear works. And you don't really, I don't think you really see it as much anymore as you did kind of maybe even 2, 3 years ago. You used to see a ton. You would never see it from the top guys either. The guys on top of the raw would never trash the gear. It's always the mid or maybe a little weaker guys that for some reason would just hate on all the gear for some reason. There have been a few raw guys that were my friends that I've like convinced to get in the bench shirt, and they actually liked it. They didn't like it enough to stay with it or anything, but they kind of understood it. It was cool to kind of see their mind change. Like, no, raw is the way. I don't want to do gear, and then they got in it. And one of my buddies, like, first time almost benched over 700, and he was like, "Oh, this is kind of cool." You know what I mean?
Yep,
like, yeah,
yep.
It's not about like having the gear do the work for you. It's about just the overload, all that, just handling that much more, the adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
Handling that much more weight is just more fun.
Yeah.
And I always compare it to just like, I think racing, like NASCAR and drag racing or, whatever. It's like Raw is kind of like NASCAR. It's just the cars going. And then drag racing have the souped up huge whatever engines and all that. It's like putting a bench shirt on. You just want to go a little faster. You want to bench a little bit more. We all train raw, that are geared. We just do that one lift in the gear. Everything else is raw.
Yeah.
Even that main lift, a lot of guys do raw work with it. I don't know. I don't understand the hate. I like it all.
Yeah.
Obviously, I've done raw. I've done it all. I don't think I've wanted to go back raw, maybe, but every time I do, I tweak something. So it's really, for me personally, it's not that fun to watch like a raw bench.
Yeah.
It is cool, like to see a huge number.
Yeah.
But you just watch it go down and go back up. Like there's nothing else to it. With the gear, there's so much more to watch, and it's just way more fun to me.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no kind of like build up like a roller coaster. It's like, is he gonna touch? Like, oh gee, that doesn't look very good. It looks like a rowboat. Like, I don't know, dude. Yeah, there's not much of that at all with raw. Of course, anyone that watches Julius Maddox, anyone that watches these top guys is gonna be like, holy shit, and it's gonna be awesome. But there's an element of entertainment or drama, even you could say, with the equipped stuff that the raw side's kind of missing out on. And I feel like a lot of that in general is missing from powerlifting. Some of that like entertainment kind of aspect of it. When you go back and you watch like Power Unlimited and you see Mendy and you see Kirk Kowalski and like these guys, these characters, and you're like, man, I want to fucking watch this. This is crazy. Or even like you mentioned, The Road to the Arnold, which is like ridiculously entertaining. By the way, free on YouTube. It should be a required
Yeah,
watching for
I
everyone.
know.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yep.
Like, but yeah, I love it personally. I love both. I haven't done any quit meet yet. That comes in December. But I'm super excited. I think a lot of
Right.
raw guys think that the bench shirt is a slingshot. I said this with Rodney and like, dude, 100%. I think that's how they think, and I'm like, no, it's not, dude. It's terrible. It's much worse. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Like the unlimited, like obviously the poly is nothing like a slingshot. The unlimited shirts, it's made out of the same-ish material, but it's not. You're not. It's not a sling. It's not even close.
yeah,
There's so much more technique. It's a little easier to learn than a poly. A good bit easier to learn. It's more fun in a lot of aspects, but yeah, not even close to a slingshot at all.
yeah. And speaking of the slingshot, there's a lot of tools out there. There's Titan Ram, Slingshot, the Raven. Do you incorporate any of these tools into your training at all?
Oh yeah, yeah. So like when I do my heavy bench shirted days, I do that every other week. So every other week between that, I'll do a bench device, a slingshot, a Raven, or something like that. And I'll usually like during the meet prep, I'll go to boards. That will be my board day where I work heavy lockouts, um, and maybe throw a chain on there. I don't really
Yeah,
do. I rarely do chains, but if I do resistance like that, it is chains. But I'll work the top end with like a Raven or like a Widowmaker or something, just to keep me protected. And the weights I'm doing in the band shirts, I need a little extra something to help that lockout. You know, the raw stuff's
yeah,
just not gonna. It's not going to be enough weight for me. The muscles will still get worked. You'll still strain a little bit, but trying to lock out 600 or whatever is not going to be the same as a 1200. So you need a
yeah,
little extra something. And I just like the protection of
yeah,
the and it's fun. It's just, I want to have fun. Those things are fun to throw on and use. So
yeah.
that's why I like to use them too.
Yeah, for sure. Do you think that there's a progression to getting into the unlimited stuff as far as like maybe you should go single ply poly, maybe multi, and then get into the band stuff? Or do you think, hey, as long as your raw numbers are close enough so you're not going to snap your bones in half, you can just go right into unlimited? How do you feel about that? How do you think the progression should go?
I think you have to be decently strong raw. You don't have to be anything crazy, but get your raw base up. And if you want to only do unlimited, just jump into unlimited, but get like a single ply unlimited or a double ply at the most, because every company has an insert you can buy out there. So get and get it maybe a size big. I know these things are kind of expensive, but if you can get it a size big, try that. If not, just get less layers. Like I said, don't just jump into a 3 ply, 4 ply. Definitely not a 4 ply. Jump into a three or a 2 ply and just learn it. Learn the groove. Learn how it reacts. Learn how your body's going to react under it. You see a lot of people handling weights in these unlimited shirts that don't need to be handling such heavy weights. You see them coming down and they're like wobbling. You see their arms moving a little bit. I'm like, and these things are there's such a fine line in them that if you're just a little bit off, because it happened to me, you just go down to your stomach a little bit, it's dumping. You go back towards your face, it's flying towards your face. You know what I mean? In a
Yep.
poly, you're going to dump a lot slower. There's still the chance, obviously, but the shirt isn't as radical as these unlimited shirts. So there's still some danger there, but these shirts can be so dangerous. The unlimited shirts can be so dangerous for people that just want to jump into it and just they're benching 400 raw. They're like, let's put 800. Like, don't don't jump. Don't make that jump. Learn slow. You're gonna thank yourself later to do it. Now I do think if you just want to do unlimited, and I've been very public about it, is still hop into a poly. Get a poly shirt. You still need to learn it. It's a good way to get different stimulus to the body, to your muscles. You have to be more. Your technique has to be more on point to make the shirt work. It's much more difficult, so you have to be more disciplined in the poly. So even if you don't want to compete in it, just get in it every now and again, even though it sucks. You don't like it, whatever. Make sure you don't leave that out. Don't just do unlimited. And I would say the same thing for the people who don't like the unlimited shirts. After I hit that 1200, that's when I hit that 1036. And I can't say that benching these numbers in unlimited didn't help my poly. You know what I mean? And so, and I'm not even saying get a maybe an unlimited shirt if you don't even want to get, but get a slingshot, throw in the Widowmaker for your training. Just learn that, get that. It's different stimulus. Your body's going to adapt, or not adapt to it, but your body's going to use it and be like, okay, I can handle this much more, and then my body's not getting tore apart by these poly shirts. And
Yeah.
then you jump back into poly, and then you know what I mean. So it's just whatever shirt you want to use, just don't neglect the other one. Is all. You're going to benefit either way. So keep an open mind when it comes to that stuff. So I don't like when people just go strictly one or the other. I mean, obviously do what you want, but that would be my opinion if somebody asked.
And what would you say the number one mistake, or like a common denominator mistake you see that is with the guys that are just getting into equip benching, unlimited, no matter what it is, just people that are getting into a shirt? What's the number one mistake you're seeing them make? Is it programming? Is it technique? What is it?
Probably technique. Just because you don't really know too many just other people's program. At least I don't pay a lot of attention to other people's programming. I don't really know, but I see a lot of technique error, a lot of, I don't know, or they want too tight a gear because they want such a big number. Like start out with a bigger, looser shirt, whatever the case may be. But I think the number one thing would just be not dialing in that technique. It's the biggest thing, especially in poly, but in both. It's like if you get that technique down, your numbers are going to automatically go up. You're gonna have to put a little more or less effort into the lift, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like if you get that technique, it's going to be a lot easier.
Yep.
To get that lift down. So you see some people coming down. I'm like, what is happening? Just slow it down, back it off, fine tune your technique, and you're gonna, it'll do wonders. You're gonna take one step back to get two steps forward, as they say. If you just fine tune that technique. And just hammer that down. And don't use boards.
Okay.
I'm big on boards.
Why not?
A lot of people rely on boards.
Okay.
And kind of going off track here a little bit, but I hate it when people rely on boards so much. I used to be a board press guy. Two board. I can, it doesn't hurt. You don't have to go as far, and you can press them in. But I bombed out a year straight for doing that. Took away boards, so many boards, and I started going like, oh, okay. Even if you don't touch, obviously, you're not going to touch everything. Float it, because for me, when those boards got taken away, I was like, oh, no, that's a long way down. You know what I mean? It wasn't necessarily the weight. It was the range of motion I had to go. And that last inch and a half, it sucks. It's the worst part of the lift.
Yeah.
So, but you're taking that out if you go and you're not used to it, you'll freak out during the meet. You already have so much other things going on during the meet. You don't want to add that aspect of like, oh, I've never touched. I've only gone to a one board. So I'm a big advocate of there is a time and place to use them, but don't use them as often as you think you want to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're not always squatting to a high box and then trying to hit depth on meet day. Doesn't make any sense.
Yep.
So it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, you're almost creating a false sticking point. You know what I mean? Like you're almost just setting yourself up for failure almost by just doing it too much. It's like you should train to competition standard at least, so you know what you're doing and you're proficient in that, whether it's the range of motion, whatever, just you are technically proficient in that. Speaking of technique, obviously you have it mastered. What was the biggest variance in your technique having to go from poly to the bench, or what are the biggest adjustments you made to your technique to become so successful?
It was pretty natural for me. Like it wasn't a big learning curve. The one thing when I first put on a band shirt, I pulled it all the way up like a poly, like all up in my armpits. And I was like getting not nothing, but I wasn't getting much out of it like I thought I would. I'm like, this stuff's trash. And then I remembered how you wear a slingshot. You wear it down closer to your elbows. I pulled it down and I was like, oh, okay, I think I figured something out. And you don't need to tuck near as hard in a unlimited shirt as you do poly. I see a lot of people still tucking. And there are a few people that can do it. I can tuck decent, but I don't tuck near as hard because I can still get my belly up, and it just makes more sense for me to go towards it. and go all the way down like flared, like a lot of people do. In these unlimited, they're designed for you to flare more than tuck. And that material wants to stretch across your chest, not towards your feet. You're
Yeah.
going to get more out of it. But I tuck, I do an in between tuck in the unlimited, and I tuck really hard in the poly. But it was a pretty natural, easy transition for me. As it wasn't too hard. It wasn't anything like crazy. I kept everything else the same. Foot position, all that was the same. I tuck a little less in the unlimited shirts.
Yeah, and I think that kind of speaks to your previous ideology of going step by step, single poly, unlimited, because you had already hit a point with the other shirts that were like technique mastery. So when you got to the band shirt, you knew what you were doing. You didn't just hop into the band shirt. You knew what you were doing already previously.
Right.
So I think that probably helped a lot. Speaking of the poly shirts, what was your process like to break in those shirts and actually get a touch? Was it adding more weight? Was it spraying the shirt more? What was that process like breaking it in?
Every new shirt, like a multiply shirt, for instance, wet it, I drench it. It's only going to help stretch those fibers that much more. It loosens them up a little bit quicker than just not spraying it. But I will put on the shirt to break it in at like 2 plates, and I'll go as far as I can, which is usually pretty close. And I do what I call like bouncing reps. I'll get it out real close and just kind of bounce it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like controlled.
Yeah.
But like I'll do a ton of reps. It's only going to go so far, and then the next set I'll throw on. For me, I can throw on plates, but for some people, maybe quarters and then a plate. But I'll throw on another plate and get as far as I can. Throw on another and keep doing that all the way up. And then I'll do that probably like depending on the shirt, do it for 2 or 3 sessions. And that's and because you don't want to just put a shirt on and go max weight. You're not going to get those fibers are going to stretch out too fast, too much, and you're not going to get a rebound out of them. So you want to break them in nice and slow, like that. And then I've had only success doing it that way, and just adding weight as I go. And then usually it doesn't take more than like 2 sessions for me to break in a poly shirt. A lot of times just 1, but I'll take the 2 just to be safe. I won't go too heavy that first time in it. Just I don't want to blow it out or anything. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you had any like major injuries to come back from powerlifting at all?
No major injuries. The only major thing I've had during like actual lifting things is 2021. I was invited to the baddest bencher that year, the first one, but I hadn't hit 1,000-pound bench yet. He just invited. He knew what I could do. He saw my gym lifts. Tiny Meeker invited me. He's like, I know you can do this. Come and do it. I was like, all right. And that was in March of 2021. January 2021, I was like, well, I don't want to get a handout. Even though I know I can do it, I want to officially bench 1,000 to qualify for this meet. So I went to a meet and I opened 1,050, missed it. I have no idea what happened. Like it shot up and it went to the right. So then I went up a little bit because it was a little hard touch. I went up to 1,080, got it. And the world record at the time was 11:10. And I went 11:15. Took it out, came down, kind of got off balance, got off the groove, and then got it right back. Lowered it about a couple more inches, and right when I did that, the bar just slipped out of my hand, like right out of my thumb. I had no idea. It was so fast, and we had no face savers, so it just like cut me in half.
Damn.
Yeah, just straight down on me. The spotters were super quick, got it off me, but I may have broken a few ribs. I don't know. I didn't. There was a few like doctors and nurses at the meet, actually participating or helping people at the meet.
Mm.
And they're like, if you feel this or that, let me know. We got to go to the hospital. So I just sat there for a little bit, let the adrenaline wear off. And I felt fine, relatively fine. I didn't feel anything they said. So I think maybe a couple cracked ribs or something.
Yeah.
But that took me like a month to recover from. It wasn't anything too crazy. But other than that, lifting wise, thankfully, I haven't had any major injuries or anything like that.
Yeah. Very fortunate. Very fortunate.
Yeah. I mean, it helps being a bench only guy. I don't have to do the other 2 lifts.
Absolutely. Yeah. Hell yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And with your mindset going into these benches, I mean, I think a certain amount of anxiety is inevitable when you really grasp the reality of the weight on the bar, because it's one thing to imagine the number, and it's another thing to see it loaded and be like, I'm getting under that. So Dave Tate talks about going into the void. We saw how Chuck Vogelpohl got himself hiked up, and then we saw someone like Ed Cohen who was pretty freaking calm. What's your mindset like getting under these 1,000 pound benches? I mean, are you getting amped up? Are you kind of calm? What are you thinking about? What's going through your mind?
I'm just a calm lifter. I can't get too hyped up, especially like bench. I feel like but I think by far for me the most technical of all three lifts. Squat is definitely technical, but you have it on your back. It's obviously very dangerous, but it's not like having it in your hands over your face. To me, the bench is the hardest, especially poly bench is the hardest one out of all three lifts. So I don't like to get too hyped and too crazy because I have to stay focused on what I need to do technique wise. And I'm just not like, my personality is just not like that. I can't go crazy. I just don't.
Yeah.
I might, like, as I lay down, I'll maybe like grunt or something. I don't really know what I do. I make some noises, but but it's nothing
noises.
crazy. Whatever. And so, but I'm just focused. I don't. I'll get nervous before meets, just like anybody else. But this past one was the first time I felt like more anxiety than I wanted to. When I put down to open at 13, I was like, I've done it a million times at the gym, but then the meet came and I was like, this is 1,300 pounds. You know what I mean? Like, I haven't officially done this. I haven't done it in a meet. I have to open up with this. So it's the first time I actually felt anxiety. Lowering the opener helped a ton with that. Doing it on a second attempt helped a ton with that. So I was a little anxious, a little nervous, but it wasn't anything crazy. Nothing more than any other lift I've ever done, thankfully. And once I get it in my hands, though, nerves are gone. It's go time. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not focused on the weights. I'm just focused on my technique and all that. I don't think about the weights. I did not look at the bar specifically this time because as much as I've seen it loaded in the gym is different on the platform, I didn't want to. Sometimes you can psych yourself out without realizing you're about to psych yourself out.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want a chance to do that. One time I did a meet and I was going for 11:15. It was a different meet, and they were using a 45-pound power bar.
Nice.
And they had to move it over, and the whole thing started whipping.
Yeah.
I was like, oh god, and it went. My mind just was like crap from you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I didn't want to look at the bar with 13 loaded on it. Not, who knows? You see it and you might just be like, oh no, that's more than I thought it was, or whatever. So I intentionally didn't look at it this time, and I was fine. So I'm generally calm and usually don't get too psyched out. But that's the only time I really remember like physically not doing something on purpose like that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And I mean, loading that on a like just standard 45-pound Olympic bar is like, it turns into a tsunami bar. It's like, what the fuck are we doing here, dude? Jesus Christ. Like,
I was the only one going near that weight, but at the same time, I'm like, you're powerlifting me. You don't have any like legit bar. Like,
yeah.
I don't know, it is what it is. But
yeah,
like, it was still crazy. I was like, oh god, this is gonna be horrible.
Yeah.
And it didn't horrible. I ended up bombing because yeah.
I can imagine anyone would on that, It's like someone needs a link to F8, because they have bench bars and they're very nice,
Yeah,
so
they didn't have that at the time. They didn't have those bars.
Jesus.
They had like the
still the squat bars.
Were still there. Or a squat bar. Yeah,
yep.
They had those. Those were out, which would have been fine.
Yeah, exactly. That's freaking bananas. What age did you start powerlifting at? When was your first meet? How old are you?
December 2012, so I was 24. My birthday's in January, so I was 24, just about to turn 25.
Okay.
Yeah. And so now I am 37. I'm old now. I'm 37, so it's been doing about 12 years.
Have you noticed a gap in recovery, maybe how much downtime you have to take? What's the difference now training at this age versus, let's say, 37 versus 27?
You definitely have... It does take longer to recover, but it doesn't take a ton to recover. You know what I mean? I would train like 5 or 6 days in a row, or not in a row, but 5 or 6 days a week back then, and I loved it. I just wanted, you just want to be in the gym all the time. But now, 4 days a week, if I go 5 and I'm training for a meet, I can definitely tell. I can't do that 5th day unless it's a fluff and buff, nothing. But if it's a legit lifting, I can't do 5. My body doesn't like 5 days lifting, so I can tell in that aspect. But that's about it. Like I do feel a little more achy and stuff, but I just think that's just also comes with the weights
Yeah.
lifting now compared to then. But it's probably combination with age too.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard a lot of lifters say that, they're peaking in their 30s, like their prime is in their 30s, they felt the strongest. And then you see people like Chuck V, who is setting records in his 40s. You see Donnie Thompson hitting 3,000 at 46, which is just like, blows my mind. It's just fucking wild. So, I mean, there's definitely, there's a lot of variables that contribute to one's kind of window to be great. But I think that, yeah, go ahead.
I think, not to cut you off, but these unlimited are giving a lot of people more time. Like Greg Powell, amazing bencher, like probably the most underrated bencher out there.
Is he the 220? He's the 220 guy.
Yeah, 242 guy. And he's 60.
Yeah,
and he's putting up 1,300 like it's nothing. That dude is crazy. He benched a 903 in single ply. It didn't count for whatever reason, but he did it in a meet. You know what? I'm like, you're ridiculous. And he does not look 242. I see him in person all the time.
Yeah.
At meets and stuff. But I'm like, you're 280. He's huge, but he's 242. He's just lean.
Yeah.
That's insane. And he, I think it has, keeps himself in great shape and all that. But I think these unlimited shirts kind of help not tear your body up and stuff like that. So who knows? These people are great. Tiny Meeker's hitting 11:25 at like 50. He had the world record in the unlimited. He still does in the multiply. He's in his 50s.
Yeah.
Mendelssohn's still out there training heavy, and he's in his 50s.
Yep.
So I think the age is going up, but like I don't know where to put it. Prime. Seriously, like you said, it's like maybe late 30s, 40s, but it might be 50s and 60s now. Who knows if you can stay healthy?
Yeah, seriously, it feels like the barrier just keeps getting pushed, which I think is a good thing. Yeah, I mean, I think that the strength training, honestly, I think is the true fountain of youth. I mean, you 100%. See a lot of people that get 100%. Like broken bones, falls, things like that. Well, strength training to a degree could have helped maybe prevent some of these things.
Everything. It makes your bones stronger. It makes everything. It makes your body work better.
Yeah.
Everything. So yeah, I agree 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. And when it comes to powerlifting, especially when we're like prepping for a meet and stuff like that, it can become kind of like Groundhog Day a little bit. What do you like to do outside of the gym, outside of training? What are your hobbies?
Anything the wife wants to do. We have a little puppy. Taki's a Pomeranian Chihuahua mix, and we just like when we're at home, it's all about him. Like everything revolves around that dog. We love him so much. So we'll take him on hikes and walks. We'll go to the dog beach. We have a dog beach down here in Florida. We'll take him to. And we like to travel. We've gone to Tulum, Mexico, like 3 times in 2 years, and just went to Ireland. It was partly for a meet, but partly for vacation. Stuff like that. I love playing basketball. That's my first love. I played in high school, all throughout high school and in grade school. So I still love to shoot around. I don't play anymore, like teams, but I'll shoot around. I still love shooting.
Yeah.
Got a basketball goal here for their pool, so I can do that when it's too hot to go to a court or anything. So, and my favorite thing to do is relax.
Yeah.
My favorite hobby is around relaxing.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, dogs are the best, dude. I have a pug. He's 2 years old. He's out of his mind. So dogs are fun. Just they're so good. They're such a blessing, man.
Yeah, he just lays around, and we're just like, oh, look at him. He's so cute. He's just laying there. He's like, what? We're like, we stare at him. Like,
you don't understand. It's like, how did I live without you before, dude? This is crazy.
Yes, exactly. Like we say it all the time. We're like, remember, like a couple of years ago, he wasn't even alive. Like, what did we do?
Yep.
And we have no idea. So yeah, great.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome. Your wife, you said she's into fitness and things like that. Does she compete as well, or has she competed outside of powerlifting?
Yeah. She's done everything. see if I get this right. I think she did bikini and figure in bodybuilding. Did raw powerlifting. Was like she was cutting a little bit of weight to hit a world record. She was like 0.5 pounds away. She couldn't make the cut to squat an all-time world record. She ended up hitting the squat, but she didn't make the weight for the thing, for the weight class. But would have squatted an all-time world record raw. Did gear, multiply, and then I got her in a band shirt when I moved down here, and she hit an all-time world record bench there, 446 bench at the time. I don't remember the weight, 132 or 148, but she would have been a light 148 if it was that. And then she's on a strongman. She's on like everything.
Damn.
Yeah, she doesn't compete anymore, so she just got re-diagnosed with breast cancer, which she's on top of. It's down. It's not, I can't think of words right now. You can't, like...
It's in remission?
Fully beat it. Kind of. Like,
okay.
It's like the numbers are down to where there's with normal numbers. They're below normal. So it's great. So it's, you know what I mean? There's no cure when it comes back.
Right.
They say, but she's got it down. But some of the stuff kind of takes a toll on her bones and stuff like that. And we have to be real careful. We don't want to throw a squat suit on and then something happen there. To overload. So she just trains at the gym now, just general lifting and stuff like that for the time being until we kind of maybe... I think she wants to get back into powerlifting, but we got to be really careful about it. Maybe it'll happen, but she's fine if it doesn't too. But I got to get her in one of these Everstrong shirts to get her that record back, man.
Yeah, it's hard, dude. Once you get bit by the bug, you know what I mean? Like it's hard, man.
It's
but
hard, man.
And that's a testament to her mental fortitude to be able to come back from that, to be able to support you and be there for you. I mean, I think that I'm seeing this as a common trend between, like, I see Jimmy Kolb and his wife Kate, and then you two, and I see like this trend just with these great lifters. They also have just like a great support system, usually a great woman with them as well.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. I mean, she honestly, probably has kept me from bombing a few times, since last year, because she talks sense into me about lowering openers when I want to get a little too greedy, being more sensible about my next attempts and stuff like that. She just talks sense into me, and thankfully she does, because she's the only person I would listen to about it. I mean, training partner, I'd be like, whatever, you don't know. I'm opening here. But she'll talk sense into me, and always there to support me, whatever I need in the powerlifting stuff. I told her, I already told you this, but I told her I would do less meets this year. So now we got to focus. I'm focusing on her and what she wants to do for, now I'm taking hiatus for meets, and maybe I'll jump into one at the end of the year. I'm still going to train, still going to do all that, but I need to take a break from meets, and we kind of focus on what she really wants to do, because she's been so supportive of me doing meets.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that is definitely a good balance with, any relationship, obviously, even friendships, you know what I mean, a give and take.
Yeah.
With your bench press, I know like Kolb uses a lot of reverse grip. There's a lot of variations that people use to enhance their bench press. What's a variation that you use that you think is very useful?
I like it's the same thing. I'll do reverse grip, but I put it in between the right here, middle and the ring finger. I will do the other one too.
The talon?
Yeah. But I think Chad Ikes kind of coined it as the neutral grip bench press. You can't really grip it around, but it just sits in your hand. For me, it sits more comfortably. It has more of a natural groove, because I don't have great wrist mobility.
Mm-hmm.
But it feels a little heavier in my hands than the reverse grip, just that one finger being able to grab it. Anyways, that's one variation I'll use. And I feel really strong with it. I guess I have decent tricep strength, so I feel that's a ton of triceps there. So I love using that. That's about the only variation I'll use bench press wise. I'll throw obviously close grip in there and stuff, but the neutral grip I love using that one. It's just something to switch it up with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't mainly, only use it. Like, I know some people might just always use that reverse. I know Rob's real big on using that reverse grip. Rob Farrell now too. He uses that like mainly all the time, but I'll still do both. just depending. But I do like to switch it up and use that grip and keep my body guessing a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you
Yeah.
think, out of everything that you've experienced through the sport, what do you think makes a world record caliber bench presser? What do you think the personality trait or the training trait? What do you think it is that makes these guys tick, that allows them to perform at the top of the sport? Someone like yourself.
Obsession, probably obsession, like with the lift. You see, like Tiny Meeker, or like all these people with records, Rizlat, Canelli, Mendelssohn, all the guys I looked up to, and now the top guys. You see, Culp. We're obsessed with it. Like,
Yep.
I don't care about the squat. I don't care about other people. I love watching other people do it. For
Yeah.
me personally, all I want to do training wise is bench press. I
Yep.
love switching it up to some other stuff, but when it comes to that, like, it's just everything, every exercise, everything is just bench press related. You know what I mean? I think you have to have some sort of obsession like that to be great at. And you look at Hoff, he can do it all, but he's obsessed
Yeah.
with being, you know what I mean? He's a top bench presser doing full power.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? You
Yeah,
have
it's
to have
ridiculous.
you can't just casually go into it. And when I say obsessed, I mean with everything, with the technique, with the accessories, with training cycles, with everything you do. You know what I mean? Not just wanting to
Yep.
be good or whatever. You have to be obsessed with every aspect of it.
Yeah.
The nutrition, the arch, the getting your belly up, the leg drive. You know what I mean? Just
Yep.
every aspect. I've broken it down in every way for myself to be able to try. And I still have things to learn. I learned stuff from this last meet that I need to get better at and work on and stuff. And I love doing that. But like you just break it down, like every little aspect of it.
Yeah.
I think that kind of obsession, you have to have that in some sort of way to get to that level.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think sleep is another one that's overlooked.
Dude, sleep is our number one thing. We have the Sleep 8 system bed where it cools and it keeps your temperature it changes temperature to keep your body at the right temperature all night. We have that. We have an AC unit inside inside the room.
Yeah.
I have a fan blowing on me. Like I'm cool, but that bed is everywhere. We take sleep like melatonins and magnesium.
Yep.
We're all about our sleep and recovery. So yeah, we have that down. Yeah, you have to have all aspects, and that's part of being obsessed. The sleep portion, the nutrition part. You have everything.
Yep, checking those boxes. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So for me, I know I usually try to eat pretty decent throughout the week, but yeah, I watch a lot of MMA. When there's cards on Saturday, I'm fucking picking out, man. I'm eating a whole fucking pizza, whatever. Your go-to, if you're just gonna get bloated, fuck it. What are you eating?
Multiple. I love pizza. I love hot dogs, chicken fingers, buffalo chicken fingers to be specific. Those are probably my go. I love sushi.
Yeah.
Any of those, you put a plate full of those. I love them.
Yeah.
Like I would just ate like 3 hot dogs earlier today. The day after the meet, I don't care what I eat. Nutrition goes out the window. Usually the week after the meet. So today I'm just eating whatever. So I just had some cheese dogs on the grill. Just ate those.
Yeah, dude.
Dude, and pickles. I do love pickles. They're my favorite.
I think I remember seeing that on your story. Yeah. Post about that. Do you? This is an interesting one. Speaking of nutrition, the day of the meet, what's your nutrition like the day of the meet? What are you eating? Are you eating large quantities hours before? Are you like chugging down some sugar right before? How's that look for you?
That's the one thing I kind of don't have down. Partly because the nerves from time to time don't let me eat a lot. Like I try to, and if I can't get it down food, I'll try to get it down shake wise. I'll put a ton of carbs in my shake. This past meet, I was pretty good with it. I had my typical morning shake with just blueberries in it. Right before we left the house to go to the meet, and then the night before we made protein pancakes, which had a lot of carbs in them and protein. So it was a nice soft thing I could get down easily. I didn't have to sit there and like spoon it in, you know what I mean? I could just grab, and then we made a ton of them. So I got to eat those. They were good. They had oats in them. They had protein powder. They had, I put chocolate chips in them for a little bit of sugar, some blueberries in them for sugar.
Yeah.
So they had everything you would need for a workout in there. And then I had some pump stuff, some NO2 like pump
Yeah.
drink with some creatine. And then I'll take it if I'm not too anxious. Maybe a little pre-workout. Maybe depends how I'm feeling. I didn't yesterday. I was fine, but I don't want to get my heart rate up too much. But
Yeah.
I did that, and that seemed to work pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't eat a ton, but I try and get enough in because, especially being bench only, you don't know exactly when you're going to lift. You kind of have to time it. I don't want to eat right before I'm about to warm up, but I also don't want to eat 4 hours beforehand and not have anything on my stomach. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
So it's a little difficult to time out, but yeah, I did it pretty okay this last meeting. I think I'm going to use that as my go-to from here on out.
Yeah.
Those pancakes. They had everything in them right there.
Yeah, I had some this morning. It was like it's a Kodiak. It's the brand, I think. It's like protein pancake. It's real fucking good. Yeah. When you competed in Ireland, it's crazy. But what was that like competing out of the country, and what were some adjustments that you had to make to compete outside the US?
Yeah, that one, like, I could tell because we left Tuesday night, so it would have been, we got in Wednesday, very early Wednesday morning in Ireland, compete Saturday. To get adjusted to the time, but it also threw off my nutrition because it's just completely different out there. And we went to, partly from vacation too. So I wasn't like, I didn't get in like 5 meals a day. I didn't get my typical, I tried every meal we had, I tried to get a good amount of carbs and protein in, but you can only eat so much at once. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Throughout, spreading it out 5 or 6 times a day.
Yeah.
So it was my nutrition was a little off. My steps were up because we walked everywhere because we were, touring everything. So it was kind of difficult in that aspect. And I could tell during the warm-ups that I wasn't quite, on my A game as far as that goes. I wasn't feeling near as strong as I was here. So I had to lower my opener I only lowered it 25 pounds, but I felt safe there.
Yeah.
As far as the meet went great. Like, I don't think there's too much difference. Besides the fact that it was like they put it on like a show. It was like a big thing out there. It was huge. A ton of people, a lot of support and stuff like that. It was really, really well ran meet, but nothing really different besides the nutrition aspect, and that was just because we traveled and stuff. It was a lot of fun, and I'm really glad I did it and had that experience. And it was cool going out there and not being able to understand anybody because they talk so fast and crazy with their Irish accents. But it was fun. I love the Irish accent. It's great. Yeah. But every time they would talk to us, they'd stop and we'd leave. I'd be like, "What did he say?" I didn't understand anything. But yeah, it was a really fun time. It was cool out there.
Do you have any other aspirations of competing outside the country? I know you're kind of winding down for this year, but maybe next year going into the future?
No, I don't know where like I really want to. Like if something pops up and it makes sense to do it, I will. It like if something came up with, I don't know if you know about this Russian kid, Nikita something. He's not on open powerlifting for some reason, but he's hit a 1234 bench at 275. It's not on there, but he broke my record. And he is a phenomenal bencher. I don't know how it's crazy. Yeah. He looks like he lifts, but he doesn't look like he lifts 1,234 pounds. Yeah. But anyways, it would be cool if like maybe we could get a big meet going with like him, and if we had to travel to Russia, to go out there, it would be kind of fun to do that. But I don't have any aspirations to go to a different country unless it just happens. Yeah. Like naturally. Yeah. Definitely. I don't want to per se because packing all the gear and stuff is kind of a pain in the butt to go to a different country. But I would if it made sense to do it.
Yeah, and it's different time zone, different culture, different food. You run the risk of potentially maybe getting sick off the food. There's so many variables.
I got sick the day after the meet in Ireland. I felt it the day before. I could feel some drainage, and I was like, "Oh no." I woke up. I felt okay the day of the meet. The next day, my head was just so clogged. So it was crazy. Like, yeah, to your point, like you run all that risk. You have no idea what's going to happen. Yep. All that travel and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fucking crazy. Just a couple more for you here. What would your one piece of advice for someone just getting into powerlifting, or let's say definitely bench only, someone that just they want to come in, they want to hammer a bunch of weight, they want to bench press a bunch. What is your piece of advice to that lifter?
Well, especially if it's geared, like focus on your technique training. Like, don't worry about the weights. Focus on technique and your recovery and getting the right accessories in. One of those things, usually at least one, you don't see somebody just getting in and do correctly. They just everything now, or they don't think accessories are important, whatever. Those things, those three things. But the number one thing I think is just focus on technique.
Yeah.
Get somebody that knows what they're doing, that knows how to bench in a shirt.
Yep.
That's gonna be honest with you and be on you if you're messing up and stuff like that. Don't get a yes man, whatever. But focus on technique. Definitely get somebody. Watching videos is great, and all, but get with somebody. Get with somebody that knows what they're doing and can really show you the way of these shirts. Because if you don't, it's going to be a long road, and you're going to get frustrated, and you're going to either stop or, it's not going to be it's not going to be a fun time if you don't. So that would be my number one thing, is just make sure you focus on technique before you try to go crazy with the weights.
Yeah, and especially finding a reputable resource is good. I think it was Panora that said in West Side vs. the World, like, knowledge without miles is bullshit. Something to that effect. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, well, you haven't done anything, but you're going to tell me how to do it. I think there's a lot of fake gurus out there, in every industry, but it's also in powerlifting. So I think finding a reputable source is huge. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Paul Key was huge with helping me with my technique. I drove down, when I lived in Georgia, I drove down to Jacksonville just so he could have hands-on with me to see what I was doing wrong, years ago. Because he would help me through, like, messaging and stuff, videos and stuff like that. But there's nothing like getting hands-on. I was like, I need to do it.
Yep.
I want to figure out how to do it better. I had to get with somebody, one of the best to do it. So definitely.
And you got to sacrifice. You got to sacrifice, especially your time. You're going to have to sacrifice if you want to be great at anything, especially this. Especially 100%. This.
Yep.
My last question for you is one that I've asked in the other 2 episodes. If you could train with anyone, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Yeah, I saw this and I was like, I was hoping you'd ask me that.
Yeah, dude.
Right when you asked,
it's coming, bro.
I was like, I know the answer to this. It's Kennelly.
Yeah.
Kennelly prime, Kennelly now. I don't care. It would have been awesome if I could do it in his prime, because that would be when I was coming up. And I think, but anyways, that 100%. Even now, I've messaged him. I'm like, we have to train together. I don't care what it takes. Obviously, you guys are on. We're like almost couldn't be further apart.
Yeah.
As far as being in the US, but
yep.
Yeah, that would be number one. And I would just do whatever he wanted to do. He does heavy shirt work and then goes and does like an hour and a half, 2 hours of accessories. I'm like, whatever. Let's do it today. I just want to do whatever and pick his brain and all that stuff. He's so knowledgeable. He's been through everything, through every shirt.
Yep.
Known to man.
Yeah.
He was so far. He was like 2 inches from locking out 1100 before anybody was thinking about touching 1100.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it didn't happen. And then he had his stuff going on. And anyways, he was he knew so much, so good. And I would love to go back and just be able to train with him.
Yeah.
That would be a dream come true. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
And his level of aggression was really something to behold too. I mean, even to this day, like, he'll do like banded skull crushers, or like skull crushers with chains, and just like even his accessory movements, when you watch him do them, they're very explosive and they're very aggressive. And like,
it's controlled aggression.
Yeah.
You can see it, but it's controlled. You know what I mean? Like, it's not wild, it's not going crazy, but you can see it building up inside.
Yeah. He's a bad motherfucker, man. On every
he's one of the best.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. So fun to watch.
But
I always say, I'm like, I wish I could be like that fun to watch, like getting crazy. But I'm like, they would throw me off. So I can't do that. But it would be, it's so fun to watch him just get the nose torque, just shake it off, and come up
Yep.
with a bloody nose and all that. Yeah.
Oh
So
yeah, he's coming up with the fucking bleeding from the eyes and still, chanting the crowd, and it's just like,
yeah,
Jesus,
yeah,
man, like, I'd be
exactly.
like, am I blind? Like, what the fuck, dude? Like, it's crazy.
You'd be freaking out. Like, what's
Yeah,
going on?
like, I'm dead. Like, I'm dead now. Like, what the fuck,
Yeah,
dude? This is wild.
exactly. Yep.
But dude, it has been a blast talking to you, man. I appreciate your time. I've been following your career for a little bit here. I found you on Instagram, like on the Explore feature. You were just putting up some stupid weight. I found you probably about a year after I found Jimmy, and you guys were kind of you two honestly were the first that got me into equip powerlifting, like the shirted stuff.
Okay.
Obviously, after seeing West Side versus the World, like George Halbert, Kenny P, like those
Yep.
guys, I was like, oh, that's cool. But then to see it like in my time, in the same time, it's really cool. So I think that what you guys are doing, whether or not you feel the impact, it is there. Like, you are definitely inspiring a younger generation and people to actually put on the equipment and get in the shirts. And I think that you and Cole both being kind of at the forefront of this, going where no one has really gone before with these numbers, and also giving back to the sport, whether it's him with his foundation or the bar that F8 has, you with the Everstrong. I just think what you guys are doing is fucking awesome. I really do.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, that's very kind. It's kind of weird when people say stuff like that because I'm just like a normal dude.
Yeah.
And like, I would say that about like Kennelly and Mendel's. I'm like watching them. I'm like, that's insane. They're like they're not real people. I'm not saying that's what you're saying, but I'm like, they're not real people. Kind of crazy, and it's kind of weird. Very grateful, very thankful that you would say something like that about me. But it's very weird to hear it. But it's super cool, and I'm very glad I can do that and kind of be that for somebody else. It's very cool to kind of have that come full circle. So yeah, I appreciate that, man. It means a lot.
Yeah, man. And definitely plug your socials, where people can find you, come in contact with you, keep up on your journey.
Yeah. My Instagram is SirBenchalot1K. Facebook is just my name, Tony Carlino. TikTok, I have a TikTok, but I don't really use it. SirBenchalot1K. But also check out, if you don't mind me plugging, the Everstrong page. It's The Everstrong on Instagram, The Everstrong. Also, TheEverstrong.com. We have merch. We have supplements out there. We just came out with a couple new shirt designs, and we came out with a gym bag, a phone case, a fanny pack. Some fun little things, some stickers, and cool. We have some pre-workout out there, some creatine, other supplements. If anybody's interested, and there's also a link on there if anybody's interested in that the Everstrong band shirt.
Yep.
So, and if anybody has questions about any of it, just hit me up. I'm very happy to talk about it and anything bench press. So
definitely, yeah, man. And also, one more thing before I completely sign off here. Shout out to Tony for being cool and waiting for me while my chair broke. I was sitting in my chair and it literally broke into pieces right before we started. But sometimes things are unpredictable, so thank you for being cool about that, bro. I appreciate it.
Sure. I'm very familiar with it. I've broken many of work chairs before, so I feel your pain.
Dude, I'm only like 218, 220, so that's definitely a weak chair. Or the mass is real. One of the two. I want to believe the second one, but
yeah, you got a lot more chairs to go through. I see it coming.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, hey, thanks a lot, bro. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Appreciate you having me. Thank you.
All right, brother.
All right.